The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. The dream hit me hard, thick fog rolling over the water, Jim standing there, silent except for his eyes. They were full of urgency, warning, but also something else. Something impossible. He held a small, metallic object in his hand, rotating slowly. "Rick, you must see," he whispered, fading like smoke. I reached out. Nothing. Only the cold mist biting my fingers.
"Rick, it is like you reshaking."
"Oh yeah, Martha." I woke up, it felt like he was really here. And I swear I saw that object like it was calling me. I don't know what it means.
"Rick, please. It is just a dream. You've had them before. You need rest."
I know. But this felt different. I can shake it. He wanted to show me something, I just don't know what. The letter came in the morning. Thick envelope, Jim S. scroll unmistakable. I hesitated. Smelled the paper, old parchment, faint traces of tobacco. Inside, a single sheet. Word simple. "Rick, if you were reading this, no, I couldn't tell anyone, but it is waiting at the bottom, a strange symbol, etched lightly, almost invisible." I traced it with my finger. My stomach twisted.
Recall that symbol. Where did it come from? You've never seen it before, right?
No, George. Netta. Except I swear I saw it in the dream. On that metallic object he held. And the lake, always the lake.
"Rick, Don T. You can chase this alone. Think about the kids, the grandchildren."
I know, Martha. I do. But it is him. Jim vanished here, and now, somehow, he is trying to reach me. And I can ignore it. I went to the archive first. Dust hung in the air. Wooden shelves creaked under my weight. I flipped through photographs of Jim, old reports, radio logs. One image caught my eye, Jim standing by the lake at night, faint glowing streak above the water. I froze. It matched my dream.
Rick, you're seeing patterns everywhere. Could be coincidence.
Maybe not. That the symbol, it appeared on one of the old files. Tiny, almost imperceptible. And it is exactly like the one in the letter. I made a call. Voice on the other end hesitant. "Rick, you shouldn't dig. You know how dangerous it was back then. Warning, fear, and something else. Like regret." But I couldn't stop. I told him I have to know. I owe it to Jim.
"Rick, be careful. That lake, it keeps secrets."
I nodded. Packed my bag slowly, deliberately. Binoculars, flashlight, notebook, old camera. Each item felt like a bridge to the past. My pulse quickened with every step. Every creak, every shadow, every whisper of wind seemed alive. As I left the house, the sun dipped below the horizon. Lake stretched before me, dark and still. Fog hovered over the water. And then a shimmer. Almost like it was waiting. I froze. The symbol. In the reflection of the lake, faint but unmistakable. I swallowed hard. The dream. The letter. The archives. Everything led here. And I realized this isn't just a memory. Something or someone is reaching out. And tonight, it waits for me. End of part 1. The missing over the lake of the unspoken truth. I felt a chill, not from the evening air, but from the sight before me. The faint shimmer on the lake. It wasn't just a trick of the light. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, almost like a breath. My heart hammered against my ribs, a chaotic drum solo against the lake's silent beat. I took a step closer, my boots crunching on gravel. A soft, metallic tang hung in the air, a scent I couldn't place. It was almost alive. The binoculars felt heavy in my hands. I brought them to my eyes, focusing on the shimmer. It wasn't a single light. It was a formation. 3 smaller points of light moving in perfect, unnatural sync. And in their center, the symbol. The same one from Jim's letter. The one etched lightly on the old archive file. It was here, on the lake, and it was glowing. I lowered the binoculars, my hands trembling. Suddenly, the air went dead silent. The frog stopped chirping. The wind died. A heavy stillness descended. And a voice, not in my ears but in my head. It was soft like a whisper from far away. A name in my name. Rick. It was Jim S. voice. I knew it. But it was different. Colder. Danger. It is here. Rick, the truth of the voice faded, replaced by a low, humming vibration. I looked back at the lake. The shimmering lights were now forming a path. They extended from the shore, across the water, toward the dark, misty center of the lake. A bridge of light. An invitation. A trap. I thought of Martha. Her worried eyes. I thought of George. His warnings. But most of all, I thought of Jim. His face in my dream. The plea in his eyes. This was what he wanted me to find. This was the truth he couldn't tell anyone, and I was the only one left to find it. I took a deep breath. The symbol on the path pulsed once more, almost like a beacon, and I took the first step onto the water. It felt solid. Impossible. The world fell away behind me, and ahead only the fog, the light, and the promise of a truth I might not want to know. End of part 2. The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. I took the first step onto the lake. The water felt solid beneath my boots, a surreal pavement of light and mystery. The symbol pulse guiding me forward into the deepening fog. The air grew heavy, thick with a smell I couldn't place, ozone mixed with something ancient, like damp earth and forgotten stone. I pushed deeper, the shimmer lighting my way, until the shore was swallowed by the mist. And then I saw it. On a small, rocky outcropping in the middle of the lake. It wasn't a hallucination. It was a small metal box, covered in mud and ancient moss. The same symbol from Jim's letter was etched into its surface, glowing faintly. My heart hammered. This was it. This is what Jim wanted me to find. I knew it. I scrambled onto the rocks, my boots slipping on the slick surface. I knelt beside the box, my hands trembling. It felt cold to the touch, almost unnatural. As I brushed away the mud, a lock became visible. No keyhole. Only a series of 4 more symbols etched around the lock itself. Each one familiar, but I couldn't place them. I had to remember. I had to find a way to open this thing. I sat there for a long time, my flashlight beam cutting through the fog. My mind raced, trying to find a connection, a logic to the symbols. Then it hit me. The archive files. The symbols were on some of the old, forgotten reports. Each one corresponded to a specific date, a specific event. A puzzle. A trail of breadcrumbs Jim left for me. I had to get back to the archive.
Rick, you there? The voice on the speaker was weak, full of static. Have you been trying to call? Don't go any deeper. Rick, I found something. Another archive file. A warning from a witness said the lights aren't just a show. They're a trap. For anyone who gets too close.
My heart sank. A trap. Jim messed his appearance. Was it deliberate? Had he walked into this on purpose? My hand shook as I reached for the box. This wasn't just a mystery. It was a game. And I was the next player. I had to make a choice. Either follow George's warning and retreat to trust Jim's final message and continue the path. I looked at the shimmering symbols on the box. Jim left this here for me. He wanted me to find it. So I would. I looked back toward the shore. The path was still lit, but the shapes in the mist had grown closer. My breath hitched. They were in shadows. They were watching me. And one of them, it moved. It reached out a long, dark arm towards the box. The light on its surface flickered as if in response, and I knew I had to get this box open now, before they did. End of part 3. The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. The box sat before me, 4 symbols etched into the lock. I traced them with my fingers, memorizing each curve. My mind raced. I had to return to the archive. Answers were there, hidden in old reports, in Jim's notes. Clues left for me to follow. The fog clung to my coat as I stepped back onto the shore. Each ripple in the water seemed alive. The figures watched from the mist. Not a sound. Just the pulse of the lake and my own heartbeat. Driving home, I kept glancing at the box in the backseat. Its hum was faint, almost imperceptible. And yet I felt it. Alive. Watching.
Rick, how done Tina how many nights I can sleep thinking you out the chasing girls. I am scared for you.
I squeezed her hand. I know, Martha, but Jim left this for me. There is a reason he disappeared. I have to find it. I can't ignore it.
Rick, have you seen puzzles like this before? They don't forgive mistakes. Jim got lucky, or been lucky.
Back in the archive, the air smelled of old paper and damp wood. Dust motes floated in the shafts of dim light. The chair groaned as I leaned over the long wooden table. I spread the reports before me, each page yellowed, brittle. Symbols. Dates. Coordinates. A map unfolded, each mark resonating with the etchings on the box. Hours passed. The smell of holding filled my nostrils. I cross-referenced every symbol, every report. A pattern emerged. Locations of sightings. Disappearances. Communications lost. Each point formed a trail leading back to the lake. To the box.
Rick, look at this. George leaned over the table, pointing at an old report. These symbols, they were not random. They matched planetary alignments. Jim noted it, but never solved it. And neither will anyone else if we don't figure it out.
I studied the chart. Alignment patterns coinciding with the dates. A celestial map hidden inside these symbols. The box wasn't just a container. It was a key. And the lake was part of the lock. My hands shook as I connected the dots. Jim had discovered something monumental. Something that couldn't stay hidden. And someone or something was guarding it. I shivered, recalling the figures in the mist. They weren't done with me yet. I leaned back in the chair, exhausted. The archive was silent, but the weight of the discovery pressed down. Every sound, pages turning, distant footsteps, aloha made me jump. The next step would take me closer to the truth, and deeper into danger. The box would not wait. Outside, the night was still. The scent of wet leaves and cold air wrapped around me. And in my dreams, Jim's face appeared again. He whispered something, just out of reach. A warning. A plea? I couldn't tell. Only that the answer was coming, and so was the threat. End of part 4. The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. I woke through the night, the archive a silent fortress of paper and forgotten secrets. George was gone, Martha was asleep, but I wasn't alone. The air smelled of old paper and ozone, the scent of the lake clinging to the box. The last symbol. I found it in Jim's final and file report. A series of coordinates, but not for a location, for a date and time. The exact moment of his disappearance. I felt a chill. He just vanished. He had planned it. This whole time I thought I was finding clues, but I was really following a map. A map to the final destination. The last puzzle piece clicked into place. The planetary alignments, the dates, the symbols. It wasn't a lock. It was a timer. The moment of truth. It is happening tonight. I raced back to the lake, the box humming in my hands. The fog was back, thicker now. The same figures from the mist were waiting. They didn't move. They just watched. But as I walked toward the water, they shifted. A silent, menacing ballet. The lake shimmered. The symbols pulsed brighter. I knew what I had to do. I took a deep breath. Placed the box on the water, exactly where I first found it. The symbols pulsed, then exploded in a flash of light. I shielded my eyes, feeling a jolt of energy pass through me. The figures in the mist recoiled, their forms flickering and distorting. The box was a decoy. A trap. A distraction. But for what? And then I saw it. Not on the water, but in the sky. A colossal, dark object, its surface a mosaic of the same symbols. It moved slowly, silently, casting a deep shadow over the lake. And from its base, a single glowing beam of light reached down. Not at me, but at the lake's center. The hum I had felt, it wasn't from the box. It was from that. From the sky. I stood, frozen. The figures in the mist, they weren't watching me. They were guarding something. Guarding this. And in that moment, I realized the full, terrifying truth. Jim hadn't disappeared. He hadn't been trapped. He had been taken. And now they were coming back for the rest of his work. For the box and for me. End of part 5. The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. The blinding light from the sky saved my retinas, but I couldn't look away. The air crackled with energy, the humming now a deafening roar. The object in the sky wasn't just observing. It was doing something. From its base, a beam of concentrated light descended, not towards me, but towards a single, perfect point on the lake's surface. The water boiled and hissed as the light touched it, and a strange, crystalline structure began to rise. It was a tower. Sleek black and humming with the same energy as the box. It rose from the depths, dripping with lake water and mystery. The figures in the mist scattered, their forms contorting into wisps of shadow. They weren't guarding the box. They were guarding this. And I knew if I had been so wrong.
Rick, where are you? George's voice was frantic, desperate. I just got a message. A single word from Jim's old communicator portal. What did you do?
A portal. Not a trap. Jim didn't disappear. He entered. He chose to go. And now the tower was open, pulsing with light, its entrance a swirling vortex of energy. I looked at the box in my hands. Its symbols glowed, a final piece of a puzzle I still didn't understand. I felt a pull. Not a physical force, but a calling. A promise of answers. The figures in the mist were gone, but the hum of the tower was a voice in itself. A voice telling me to step closer. And I did. I walked toward the base of the tower, the light from its core illuminating my face. The water was calm. The hum was a symphony. And the portal was waiting. I thought of Martha, of George, of the life I had left behind. But the thought of Jim, of the truth that was stronger. The air was filled with a sense of purpose. A sense of destiny. And as I reached out a hand to touch the swirling vortex, I knew. This wasn't just a case. It was a choice. And I had to make it alone. End of part 6. The missing over the lake, the unspoken truth. My hand trembled as I touched the swirling vortex. It wasn't too cold or hot. It was nothing. An absence of everything. And then a sudden pull. Not of gravity, but of time. The world twisted, a kaleidoscope of light and sound. I felt Jim's hand on my shoulder, guiding me forward. And just as quickly as it began, it stopped. The air was different. It smelled of salt and ozone. My boots no longer touched water, but a smooth, cold surface. The humming was gone. Silence. I blinked, adjusting my eyes to the faint light. We were inside the tower, or what was left of it. The walls were made of the same black, crystalline substance. Faint symbols pulsed along their surface. In the center of the room, a large console, and kneeling before it, a figure. Jim. His face was thinner, his hair grayer. But his eyes were the same. Focused. Intent. He looked up, and a faint smile crossed his lips.
Rick, he said, his voice a whisper. I knew you would come.
I wanted to ask 1,000 questions at once, but he held up a hand. No time, they were coming, the ones who sent the message, the ones who created this. He pointed to the console. It has a beacon, not for us, but for them, and I've been trying to stop it.
They re not a threat, Rick, not yet. They re observers, but I've seen what they can do. They re waiting for the right moment to collect, and I am not letting that happen.
He looked at me, a flicker of fear in his eyes. The box set was the last piece, the key to unlocking the signal. I didn't know you'd bring it so fast. He stood, gesturing to the console. Help me, Rick. We have to shut it down before it's too late. End of part 7. The missing over the lake of the unspoken truth. My mind reeled. The dream. The letter. The box. It all made a terrifying kind of sense. Who are they, Jim? My voice was a shaky whisper. What are they collecting?
Not what, who. They take people, those that are receptive, those that can see them, and I saw them, Rick. I saw what they were. They re not from here. They re a collective, and they want our knowledge, our essence.
I looked at the console, a swirling pattern of light and symbols. It hummed a low, hypnotic tone. I could feel the pull, the same one I felt on the lake. It wasn't a portal. It was a siphon, and Jim was trying to stop it. But how?
The box, Jim said, pointing at the device in my hands. It is a counter signal, a key to this whole thing. We can use it to disrupt the flow, to shut the map. He gestured to a small opening in the console. Put it there, Rick, now.
I hesitated. My hands trembled. What about you? I asked. You've been here for years, Jim. What happened to you?
I am part of the network, Rick. I can leave. My consciousness is attached, but you can save me by saving everyone else. Just please do it.
I looked at the box, then at the console. And then I heard it. A new sound. Not the hum of the console, but a low, menacing hiss from outside. The figures. They were here. They were inside the tower. And they were not happy. Do it, Rick. Jim's voice was urgent. Now, the humming intensified. The hiss grew louder. I took a deep breath, and with trembling hands I inserted the box into the console. The light flared. The hum became a scream. And everything went white. End of part 8. The missing over the lake of the unspoken truth. The world exploded in light and sound. The scream from the console was a physical force tearing through the air. My vision blurred, and the taste of ozone filled my mouth. The figures that had followed me, they shrieked, their forms flickering out of existence. The tower shuddered. I fell to my knees, holding my head, waiting for the end.
Rick, Jim's voice, a desperate plea. What have you done? He was there, a ghost of himself, his eyes wide with fear. I looked at the console, the box still inside. It had worked. The siphon was shutting down. But Jim, he was fading. His form became transparent, like glass.
Though the siphon, I stammered, pointing at the console. It is working, but a wave of fear washed over me. I had saved the world, but I had doomed my friend. He was part of the network, and by shutting it down, I had severed his connection. He was fading.
You have to leave, Jim's voice was a faint whisper. Now, before it's too late, before the collective realizes what you've done. He reached out a transparent hand, touching my shoulder. The truth it is yours now, Rick. Tell them everything, and with a final, radiant flash he was gone.
Silence. The screaming had stopped. The hum was a faint memory. The tower was no longer pulsing with energy. It was cold. Dead. I was alone. Tears streamed down my face. I had found Jim, but I had lost him all over again. And I knew I had to get out. Now. I scrambled to my feet, grabbing the box from the console. The symbols were dark, lifeless. The portal back to the lake was a swirling vortex. But this time, it was different. I could feel the cold, a chilling emptiness. I had just enough time to jump through. And I did. without a second thought. Just pure blind fear. Running for my life. End of part 9. The missing over the lake of the unspoken truth. I fell back onto the shore, gasping for air. My body was cold and weak. The fog was gone. The lake was still. The hum was a distant echo. I looked back at the lake, but the tow was gone. The shimmering lights, they were gone too. Only the dark water remained, and in my hand the cold, lifeless box.
Rick, thank God, we've been looking for you all night, Martha ran to me, her face pale, her eyes full of tears. George was right behind her, his face a mixture of relief and confusion.
Rick, what was that? He stammered, pointing at the lake. The lights, the hum, I shook my head. I couldn't explain. Not yet.
I sat in my study, the box on the desk telling them everything. The dreams, the symbols, the portal, the siphon, the collective, and Jim. I told them how he had sacrificed himself to save us. Martha wept. George sat in stunned silence, his face white as a sheet. So over this over? George asked, his voice barely a whisper. They won't he come back? I looked at the box, then back at the lake from my window. I had no answer. The siphon was gone. The knowledge was still with me. I would always remember what Jim told me, what he had sacrificed, and what was still out there, waiting. The world moved on. The case was closed. People went back to their lives. But I couldn't not anymore. Every night I look at the lake. I listen to the hum of the world. And I know, the truth isn't out there. It isn't here. And it is not going away. Not ever. End of story.